Well, good afternoon, Springfield Faith Center. It is Tuesday, April 28th today, and I get to do your devotional for this week. This is the first time I've filmed one of these at home, and I did not anticipate how difficult it would be to find a quiet space at my house. I should have. I'm here every day. I know how loud it gets, but my children are downstairs running around and doing children things, and there's work happening and dinner being made and all of that. So I'm hiding in one of the few quiet places in the house right now while I try to record this. So I was reflecting back on the message from this weekend. We were looking at Matthew chapter 5, just after the Beatitudes, specifically the part where Jesus is talking about how we are the salt of the earth and the light of the world, and how the result of being those two things authentically is that God will be glorified. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking specifically about how one of the things that I talked about this last weekend was that idea of being inspired. The last line in verse 16 says that all men will see your good works and will glorify God. And that word good, there's the Greek word kalos, which is a good that isn't just talking about something morally good, something righteous. It's a good that is beautiful, a good that is attractive, a good that draws people to it. The kind of thing where you see it or experience it and you say, man, that was good, or something like that. I always think of food when I think like that. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he used salt in the illustration, because I think of some kind of food that you pick it up and you eat it, and the only response afterward is to say, man, that was really good. I talked about Krispy Kreme donuts on Sunday, so maybe there's the theme. Who knows? But it got me thinking, because the last couple of days I've been spending a lot of time processing through the emotional difficulties of the season that we're in and how hard this time is right now. Partly because as a leader at the church, I've been trying to understand the process that we're all going through. I've been trying to understand the process that the staff are going to. And I got a chance to listen to a woman who shared this last week, kind of from her perspective and her experiences. And she's a neuroscientist and also a pastor. And she was sharing about the process of dealing with crises and moments and situations like the one that we're in right now. And she was talking about the emotional toll that it takes and the necessity to deal with the negative emotions in health and in a really good way. And one of the things that she said that stuck with me was this idea that for a season like this one, the goal is not to get through this unhurt. The goal is to get through this renewed and reborn and reformed. The goal is not to somehow avoid injury or damage. The goal is to go through this and let God remake us in the healthiest possible way. And as I was reflecting back on the message from this last weekend, I started realizing that for me, one of the ways that manifests itself is because when I'm dealing with negativity in my life, there is a tendency, a temptation to try and deal with that negativity by simply removing it, by identifying the things in my life that I don't like and then finding ways to sort of uproot them and get rid of them like weeds. And that can have a certain degree of effectiveness in life. Certainly there are times where that's important. But over the course of my life, one of the things that I've discovered is that God has a tendency to deal with negativity by overwhelming it with positivity. That instead of trying to dig all the weeds out, he brings in something good that is so much better than the negative that it just crowds the negative out. And I was reflecting back on the message from the weekend, and I was just thinking, you know what? I know for myself that's what I need right now. I need an experience of the goodness of God that is so big and that is so real and that is so strong. It starts to bury the negativity. It starts to bury the hurt. It starts to bury the sadness and the depression. And so that's my encouragement for today, that as we go into this week, as we go into this time, as we continue in the season that we're in, don't be afraid to ask God for goodness. Don't be afraid to ask God for the kind of good that is beautiful and attractive and draws people in. Don't be afraid to ask God for that sort of activity, for that sort of leading, because I have a feeling that in the middle of that leading, in the middle of that beauty, a lot of the answers to the hurt and the pain are going to be found. press in, find him in the middle of this. Thanks for spending this time with me. And again, stay safe, wash your hands, and we will hopefully see you all very, very soon. Have a great day.